Halftime of the women's basketball game, a surprise as Stevens has taken a halftime lead over the DeSales University women's basketball team, ranked number 25 in the country. And we're joined at halftime by a member of the DeSales University Baseball team. Michael White joins us, catcher for the baseball team, hit .390 last season, very impressive year, runners-up in the conference. First of all, before we get to this year, what are your biggest memories from last year?
I think just the atmosphere overall. We had a lot of great moments as a team on and off the field. There's a number of times where we had walk-off hits, and that's very distinct. One of our big guys last year was Nick White, who I referred to as Brother Man just because we shared the same last name. And there was a couple times where he had walk-off hits, and I remember just chasing him around the field. So a lot of great memories on the field with him.
And came up just short of the conference title, right?
Always, yep.
Okay, so is this year kind of like an unfinished business kind of season?
I think it's a fresh start.
It's a fresh start. Okay.
We got new players, we got new coaches. I think every year, time we step on the field, it's a new season. So it's time to wipe the slate clean, time to come up fresh, clean, ready to hit, ready to throw. I think it's going to be a good year for us.
Tell us about some of the key people on the team. I know that there are a number of all-conference selections returning, yourself among them, pitcher as well. Tell us about some of the key people.
Absolutely. To start off, we have John Pochia, senior pitcher. He had 9 games, won last year. He's going to push for that 10th game this year. Just absolute lights-out pitcher. He's one of those guys that you can just spot up anywhere. As a catcher, seeing him work, it's like, our coach likes to say a video game. He just spots up everything. We have Sergio Diaz, first base. He's a 4-year starter for us now. Real big left-handed hitter. Can hit the ball a mile. Really good with the glove at first base. Makes some stretches. It looks painful, honestly, with the way he moves around out there. We got guys like Frank Licari, third base, another senior. We got guys like Evan Plummer in the outfield. Big guy, 6'3", 6'4", has a cannon for an arm to get the ball in. I think we're going to look really good this year.
What does someone who hit .390 last season work on to get better?
I think it's just what everyone else does. You get in the cages and you just rep after rep, swing. One of my heroes looking up, from a younger age was Derek Jeter. And if you read the book, The Life You Imagine, which is one of his autobiographies, he talks about how every day he would come home from school and his dad would make him hit 1,000 baseballs a day. And he said there was times where he'd want to go outside with his friends, but he had to hit his 1,000 baseballs. And so his friend would come over and he'd sit there and watch Derek hit his 1,000 baseballs before they could go out and hang with him. Now, I'm not going to say hit 1,000 baseballs every day, but it's that just repetition, right? There's times where you're going to get in the cage and you're going to have a bad day, and that's just going to happen. Baseball is a numbers game. You know that as well as I do. Yep. And so, you're going to have to just get in there and just take reps, and it might be, not the greatest reps, but if you get your 100 reps in that day, the next day, they might be better.
One thing I like talking about with catchers is talking shop a little bit. So a couple of defense-related questions. What is the work that goes into for you for working with the pitching staff, catching pitchers, blocking pitches, presenting pitches so that they look that you get the call in the outside corner? What is that like for you?
I think the biggest thing is just bullpens. We catch a lot of bullpens, especially in this preseason time, if you want to call it that. And I think that's where you get all your work in. Especially, we have 15 pitchers on our squad, and we have probably around 15 to 20 bullpens if guys are doubling up in the week. So you're really seeing. Today alone, I probably caught close to 150 pitches just in bullpens alone. And so that's really your time to focus on framing and whatever you want to call it, presenting, framing. Sure. I'm a big fan personally of presentation. Right? When you say framing, to me, that's kind of faking where the ball is. What I was taught is presentation, yep. Right? So the ball comes in, you want to make it look as good as it can for the umpire, because ultimately he's the guy that's calling the pitches.
Right, and how do you go about doing that? I know there are different techniques certainly for that.
So I know a lot of guys, there's some guys that like to kind of turn the glove.
Yep.
There's some guys that like to kind of stick and hold it. I'm one of those guys that I like to stick and hold, right? So outside pitch, you're working from the outside in, so when you catch it, you're coming in a little bit and it's sticking there, right? Now, the low pitch is always the tough one. You got guys that say get the thumb underneath, and try and bring it up. You got other guys that do the tissue method, which is essentially kind of a pick, right? You watch guys like Buster Posey, right? He kind of does like a tissue almost.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what I've been working on in the past year or two is this tissue method where I kind of bring it up a little bit. But, it all depends on the pitch. Some pitches are just going to be so low you have to tissue it, and there's going to be some pitches where you can work your thumb up underneath.
I love talking shop, defensive shop with catchers in particular because they get so into it like you are. Let's talk about the DeSales experience. What has the DeSales baseball experience and the DeSales school experience been like for you?
I mean, it's just one big family. I mean, you come to a school like DeSales, it's around 2,000 undergrad. You know a lot of people, and so especially on a sports team, you really get to know the guys around you. And I think there's nothing better than that, especially for player development. I mean, you're hanging out with these guys every single day. Granted, most teams are, but you're seeing them both in the classroom and outside the classroom, and I think that's something that really builds up team camaraderie.
What are your aspirations beyond DeSales?
So I'm actually going off into the financial field after graduation. So I have a job lined up with a firm down in Princeton, New Jersey, working in the financial sector, and so that's kind of my push after that. So this is going to be like my last year of baseball. So it's kind of a bittersweet moment in a sense.
So you, like me, are a numbers person.
I am. Yes.
Very nice. And do you have any advice for either the women's or men's basketball teams here? I guess the women here with trailing at halftime against Stevens.
You just go out and give it your all. I mean, they're giving a good game right now. I mean, they're giving it their all. Just give a little bit more. The famous Yogi Berra said, if you score more runs than the other team, or in this case, you score more baskets than the other team, you're going to win the game. So,
cool. Anyone or anything else you want to give a shout out to? We'll give you the last word here.
Just shout out to my DSU baseball dogs. Let's go win one this year.
All right. Good luck this year.
Thank you very much.
All right. We will take a break. When we come back, we will review the first half, preview the second half. DeSales trailing Stevens by a point here at halftime. Thanks for tuning in to the DeSales Sports Network.